What are the chances that Will Fury shows up and fights Paul and Mike Perry doesn't? And see, I like this, guys, but I've wanted this for a while. I've wanted this and I've been on my own, and it's an experiment. I can't prove that it works better because it had never been done. I couldn't get anybody to take a leap with me, which is just feature the backup fighter. I like it. Let's get a little triangle going. There's a triangle going right now in boxing with Ngannou and Tyson. They just threw Wilder in there. Wilder's got no spot in this whatsoever. They just threw Wilder. You know what? It made it more fun. Quite frankly, it did. We don't have anything where we're just speculating. Well, let's speculate on 3 instead of speculating on 2. That seems to make a level of sense. And I say that because I love the way that Most Valuable is going about this. Oh, that's Jake Paul calling right there. I like how they're going about it, which is just advertise them all. It's never been done. Bring Perry into it. Perry's fun. Hey, Perry got this whole thing going. Don't tell me he doesn't know what he's doing. Nobody came out and helped him. There was no network that got behind it. He wasn't featured on Showtime. He came out and did it himself. He said, look, I got a contract. What do you think? I went and printed this up at Kinko's? I was offered a fight with Jake Paul. It's not happening. I'm not getting the fight. But, you got to be a pretty cool guy to get that opportunity. I am apparently in the pretty cool guy club. And here it is, and here's my proof. That's all he did. It worked. It was great. It was simple. I watched Mike Perry save a turtle one time on Instagram. Watched it 11 times. Like, there's some people it just works. It just works. So now Perry's in there. He's inserting himself, right? Perry would have had his hand out in some regard. And they just would pitch in. I don't know what that goes for. I don't know to be a backup what that goes for. 10 grand would be a very common participation. To get all your paperwork done, fly out there, be very common. I think 10's a little light. Only because whether you get that match or not, your coach did the same amount of work. He's got to get paid. He's got to get paid. And it's generally a percentage. It's 10%. I give the coach $1,000. I'm just sharing with you. I think that it's a little bit light. I think 50 would be on the very generous side. But I'm sharing with you, Perry is getting something, and he is training, and he is preparing. And he's very wise to do so. Right? Perry versus Paul is interesting for a couple of reasons, but none of them quite as much as the size difference favoring Paul, because it would slow him down. There's a tipping point. There's always a tipping point. Perry can take a hell of a punch. Ooh, he can take a hell of a punch. He can give a hell of a punch, and he's just that size. He's that size where he's not going to be weaker. He's only going to be faster. It's interesting. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going any further with this. I'm just sharing with you. It's interesting, but it's a very different fight. You got a brawler like Perry with massive stones and courage, or you have a boxer like Fury with none of those things. I mean, it's a massively different fight. And the fact that Paul would agree to do either one on extremely short notice, right? How's Fury going to get out of that, by the way? I mean, if he's going to get out of it, how does he get out of it? And you may not know. Let me just ask you a real simple question. Does he get to the venue? I mean, let's just start there. If he gets on a plane from England and he goes there, now his options are really limited. I had a friend need out of a fight so bad, right? There's things that happen. I'll leave it at that. There's things that can happen. Right there at the venue. So how would Fury get out? I mean, right, at what point is Perry going to know? At what point does that match get made? Is it a full week in advance? Is it just like last time? I mean, it's not as though Will Fury won't just not get on a plane. That's literally what he did last time. He did not even come to New York. So I'm just sharing with you, when a guy would do that, like we couldn't do that for Fury. We couldn't say, hey, by the way, Fury, Jake's got a few balls in the air. If he doesn't show up, you're still going to go on as contested with Perry. Fury would say, no way, I didn't prepare for him. I didn't train for him. That's not the deal. He would do that. A lot of boxers would do that. I can't just give Fury a hard time, but why can't we give Jake a compliment? I mean, there doesn't appear to be anything in this sport that we want to give him credit for. And I watched the boxer set him up on this one. I pled with him, don't fall for it. They're not your friends. And sure enough, as soon as that fight gets signed, they put him as the favorite. Which just tells you they don't respect Fury as a boxer. They don't look at him as a boxer. Eddie Hearn himself came out and said the guy sucks at boxing. I'm going to just share for you, that proves my point that they're getting ready to stab Jake in the back. They already did it. Hold him to take the fight. This is the one the world needs to see. This is the one that gets you over. And then they made him the favorite, saying we don't respect Fury, feathering the nest so that when he falls, the bounce isn't there. And I'm just bringing for you, he's offering and willing to take on two very different opponents in what would seemingly be very short notice. We generally like guys like that. We give them credit. Volkanovski just did that. Was going to take on Islam or Charles. But we recognize it. And I would be very curious from you. I would be, because those are vastly different fights. And none of this has to do with the manufactured grudge between those two. None of it. This match is about, we're now Jake Paul fans. He went out and got a whole bunch. He came here with a bunch of them, but now he's got a whole bunch more. We just want to see him fight. So it really doesn't matter if it's Fury fumbles or if it's Perry. It really doesn't. You just want to see him compete. But they're very different matches. You're going to get one of them. If you had a magic wand, I would like to know from you which one you'd rather see.